Hey everyone, Sly47 here. Today we're talking about what and when to grind in World of Warships Blitz 2023 edition. I did this video last year with a easy, medium, hard, and Island of Misfit Toys. This year we're just going to go with beginner, intermediate, and challenging with the Island of Misfit Toys still there. Shuffle a few things around as I have kind of changed up my thoughts and opinions on them. Also, we have a bunch of new lines to go over. So, editing Sly, are you ready?
I'm ready!
Awesome, cool. Put up some gameplay, put me down in the corner. And for anyone who's wanting to listen to me ramble, I'll be right here. For anyone who's wanting to watch gameplay, the gameplay will be right there for you. So let's go into the beginner section of this video. These are ships that are very easy to play. They cover a lot of bases. They also are very forgiving when you play them. So don't feel like you are needing to be pressured to learn anything specifically for these ships, as they will help you learn a lot of the basics within World of Warships Blitz. So I would suggest you grind the Gearing or Shimakaze for a DD player if you are wanting to be that little more mosquito or pest on the battlefield. The Gearing is your more typical DD, does just about everything: torpedoes, decent guns, has smoke, has engine accelerator, does about just about everything you want to do, and you can hunt DDs, hunt battleships, maybe even help with hunting on cruisers, and occasionally sneaking around and destroying carriers. It does just about everything. Where the Shimakaze is pretty much all about concealment and using those torpedoes. There is a bar because most Shima players are like this.
Let's go, in and out, 20 minutes adventure.
And then really good Shima players are like this. And there's a very clear difference, and you remember the good Shima players when you do run into them, but overall, just understand you'll generally deal with the lesser of the Shima players right there, but those two are great DDs to start off with. Next up, we have the Worcester and the Alexander Nevsky. These are both more support-based cruisers. The Alexander Nevsky is a better sniper and does a little bit more damage, where the Worcester is more of that AA barge mixed with support, mixed with a lot of guns, and unfortunately have horrendous arcs. But at the same time, they are both really good to learn the cruiser style within World of Warships Blitz, and they offer that dichotomy. Do you want more damage, or do you want to help out your team more and securing the win more, in my opinion? So the Worcester will be doing that, where the Alexander Nevsky is that sniper style, helps you out with that aim overall. So two great lines right there, and also if you're looking for fires, Alexander Nevsky line has you for that. Next up for the battleships in the beginner line, we have the Montana versus the Yamato. Montana is just your bland basic battleship. It does everything you want a battleship to do. It tanks damage, it deals damage, it does pretty well, it has decent AA, it maneuvers quite well. That's pretty much there, but your Yamato is that sniper class of battleship that you want to play. So if you are wanting to focus more on sniping and getting your aim better, Yamato will do that. If you are just wanting to kind of learn the basics of just about everything a battleship does or should be doing within World of Warships Blitz, Montana is right there. If you are choosing to play a carrier, the Midway's there. The Midway is there. It is a honestly fine grind overall. There it is more dive bomber focused, so pretty easy to use, with only having one torpedo bomber set, allowing you to slowly learn how to use them, as other CVs will have more. It gets a little bit harder to use specifically depending on which one you go. For the intermediate area, we have for DDs, we have the Delny, the Z52, and the Yu Yang. A lot of these DDs teach you something specifically. The Delny teaches you patience because it is incredibly fast. It is the basic bland gunboat, but unfortunately, due to its speed, it can get you into trouble very quick. So if you are wanting a fast gunboat and wanting one of the more faster playstyles, the Delny is an excellent introduction to that. The Z52 is your introduction to DD hunting. It has a lot of all-rounder capabilities, but it's mostly AP focused, so you need to follow your BSSs, which I have a video for you on that, but the Z52 is a great introduction to that DD hunting playstyle, while the Yu Yang is a great introduction to the deep water torpedo system within this game and allows you to learn that, all while basically having all the capabilities of Gearing with, I'd say, arguably better guns and radar. So kind of does that mixture on that. Yu Yang is a fantastic ship. Now to the cruisers of the intermediate category, we have Des Moines, Yodo, Hindenburg, and Henri IV. So these are ships that actually have a little bit of particulars to each and every one of them, and you need to know each one in order to make them succeed. The Des Moines, this is a cap contester or an island hopper burst damage machine. So you need to not be out in open water. You need to be near an island to make sure that you can hide just in case your rapid reload is off. So make sure you're pacing yourself, keeping track of those caps, being that cap contester if you need to, and of course, powering down some ships with those rapid reloads. Whereas the Henri IV, this is your flanking version of that. It's incredibly fast, incredibly powerful. You will dump 40, 50,000 damage into a ship really quickly. It's an absolute blast of a play, but if you get caught out without that rapid reload, you are in trouble. Everything. So just make sure you are watching with those. Those are very much island hoppers or flankers in their own respect. So know that. Hindenburg, this is all about your aim and knowing how to use AP. Once again, watch that BSS video that I have as well in order to help know where to shoot. And then over time, you will learn how to make the Hindenburg better. Next up, also, I put it in the intermediate because the Hindenburg grind is not exactly fun. It's not as bad as other grinds in the Island of Misfit Toys area. But yeah, the Hindenburg, at least I generally would say, is worth it in that I don't like it, but that's just a personal preference type thing. Yodo, this is a lot of guns in a single platform with 360 turrets, but it requires you know how to use concealment. And if you don't know how to use concealment, you're going to fire your guns too soon because they have excellent range. But unfortunately, now you're going to get focused and you don't have excellent armor to back it up, so you're going to die pretty quickly. So be careful with that. Know when to engage, when not to engage on the Yodo grind. Now for the battleships of the intermediate area, we have the Vermont, Republic, Colombo, and GK. So the Vermont, you need to know where to position yourself with the absolute slap of the guns that you bring. They do a crap load of damage, but you are slow. You are massive. And if anyone knows how to auto aim off, your armor means jack crap. So you need to know where to position yourself and also how to move this massive brick of a fire. Just, it has a lot of firepower. It does, but at the same time, it's slow. It has its downside. Republic, opposite. It has a lot of firepower, low armor, but it can get itself in trouble. So pace yourself with the Republic and learn map positioning with battleships specifically. Sometimes even know how to use concealment on a battleship. I have a video for that on the channel as well, where I talk with Matt on when and why you'd want to use concealment on battleships. Because the Republic can occasionally pop up and say, "Hi, I have rapid reload," and you're about to die with a crapload of big guns, and then disappear with its speed that it brings out. Next up, we have the Colombo. This is an absolute DD menace. If you've ever seen a DD just disappear off the face of the earth.
Get ready, everybody. He's about to do something stupid.
Oh, never mind. There goes the Shima.
Colombo is the reason. It's SAP and AP means that you need to know when to shoot those and when not to shoot those, but also know how to use 360 turrets and fuel smoke on a battleship to make it actually work and succeed in the game, because it is an absolute powerhouse. But unfortunately, a lot of people like to play it more like a sentry and just explode. So GK, this is the tip of the spear. This is all about timing. The ship changes depending on how long the game goes. It can be a sniper, but it also can be an absolute tip of the spear, armored menace that will make a flank actually win a game. So you have to know your timing on the GK. For carriers on intermediate area, you have the Malta and VR. Malta is an absolute menace. The moment you've mastered its slow, utterly, almost Elving slow torpedoes, then yes, you can make the Malta absolutely broken powerful. It's stupidly easy, trust me. Just please don't go to the line. Just please, as a surface ship main, just please don't go to the Malta line. MVR, though, go down the MVR line, because this is an aggressive CV. If you want to be right on the second echelon line, just absolutely working your butt off, this ship rewards you. Absolute blast. You do need to know you have AP dive bombers, and you need to know how to use your torpedo bombers against DDs in order to effectively remove them or harm them enough to remove them from the game. But you also need to know positioning, because this thing can be aggressive in its playstyle and needs to be aggressive in order to use that quick preparation time that it has. On to the challenging section, we have the Regolo, the Hargumo, the Kleber, and the Holland. The Regolo, it's just a very unique DD because it's kind of more of a light cruiser at the tier 9 and tier 10, so you have to know that switch. But on top of it, it's SAP and HE focused with long-range torpedoes with very unique short burst smoke and shorter but more effective engine accelerators. You need to know how to use that in order to make it effective, but it's an excellent DD killer and has just amazing potential with the skill level. You crank up the skill on it, It just keeps going, and it is a fantastic ship to enjoy. The Harugumo is the exact opposite. It's not fast. It's this slow-moving just menace. It has a lot of firepower for a DD, but you have to know to position yourself and utilize its capabilities and its skills to its fullest in order to just rack up damage. And on top of it, it has some of the smallest guns in the game, so it's a death by 1,000 cuts. I did pull it from the island of Misfit Toys because I do believe it deserves its position in challenging, as I do thoroughly enjoy it. But yeah, there's going to be games you get shut out. It's very easy to shut out because it's such a long ship, but it's still rewarding to play overall when you have those fun, good games. Kleber, this is the ultimate flanker. You need to know how to flank. It's not out to A0 or out to the other corners. It's just slightly around the caps. You don't want to cap contest in the Kleber, but what you can do is cause an absolute menace in the rear flanks of the enemy team, and that capability that the Kleber brings, along with the lofty arcs. But once you learn those lofty arcs, you can just get Citadel Crises off the rip so quickly. You can, and murdering DDs with that rapid reload 4, excellent pickup right there. Holland, I put it in challenging because it's a completely different game. It's a completely different game overall, because the Holland, you are playing almost an MMORPG cooldown system, because you need to know that person's on cooldown, that person just had a fire, that person needs a flood, that person needs a fire in about 10 seconds, and like that. You play that, it is a fun time. It is. I absolutely cannot suggest the Holland line more, especially if Swarovski on there, but the Holland line, it plays an MMORPG style. If you don't have those fires and floods going, you're going to have a low damage game just because of how the ship acts. Next up for the cruisers, we have the Minotaur, the Genon, and the San Martin. So the Minotaur, I don't think I need to say too much. It is the ultimate glass cannon overall, with the torps and the AP only focused idea that it brings out with smoke and sonar and great AA now since the buff. It is an absolute package. It is basically a DD. It's the cruiser for DD players. Absolutely would suggest it, but it's a glass cannon, so you need to have the skills in order to put yourself in the right positions, in order to have enough concealment, in order to dodge shots with your crazy mobility. Now the Genon, this is a flank controller. This absolutely can send out a lot of torpedoes very often, and it will prevent those GKs and even Schlieffens from being able to push on those flanks and being able to control that while also still having pretty good guns and fuel smoke in order to do a little bit of hit and run maneuvers with decent AA. So Genon is a great pickup there as well, and that entire line I think just exemplifies it. Once again, also deep water torpedoes. If you don't like them, I wouldn't suggest the line go up to Minnow in that situation. On to the San Martin. So the San Martin is an excellent AP only, with a little bit of torpedoes, booster that has higher health and a unique skill that whenever you hit, it slowly charges a meter that eventually you can now use that meter after so many hits, in turn giving you better reload and better AP penetration. So this thing can be absolutely a menace. But if you do not know how to use an AP only ship by using your PSSs, or knowing how to auto aim off, by knowing how to island hop, or even just knowing how to actually maneuver in a great way to dodge shells, the San Martin unfortunately will be a painful grind for you. So please hold off on it. It's really good. It is really amazing, but it's still weighing off on it on that. Now on to the battleships of the challenging section. We have the Louisiana, the St. Vincent, and the Schlieffen. So the Louisiana, new kid on the block. This has amazing guns, has insane spotting capabilities for its team. If you are reasonably good on a CV and decent on a battleship, this line is literally your jam and will absolutely help many teams win the games. Because of its capabilities, you're able to spot DDs that don't want to be spotted. You're able to cause almost more fires than a whole nother battleship, pushing it even further into the island of Misfit Toys. Everything. The Louisiana is absolutely great. It's just a little bit squishy. That's the biggest problem, and its planes are very weak. And if you don't understand AA power per particular ship, you're going to have an issue on keeping your planes alive and having that influence in the game, but the Louisiana has the influence to allow that. I basically view them as the opposite of the Colombo line, where the Colombo line can kill them but can't see them, where the Louisiana line can see them but can't really truly kill DDs often, though sometimes those bomber groups are a little too accurate. St. Vincent line, this is an excellent line. I just see too many players, unfortunately, playing them, using that speed, getting themselves in trouble, and then dying too quickly because they don't have time to let their heals actually use and give them the capability to tank as much as the St. Vincent can tank. You have to know armor angling. You have to know how to position yourself. Maybe you position yourself by an island in order to hide the massive rear end that you have on the St. Vincent. But the guns are fantastic. It's absolutely rewarding, let alone I just did a recent review on that grind. Absolute fantastic grind. Couldn't suggest it more. But the St. Vincent is a challenging ship that I think is rewarding enough at the current state. Some are calling for a nerf potentially, but I think there's other things that might be better by buffing other ships in order to kind of lessen the influence that a good player gives within a St. Vincent. Then finally, Schlieffen. I've moved it from the island Misfit Toys just because it's just so offensively fun. And on top of it, it will be the reason your team wins or loses at times because of the capabilities that it brings in a push. Versus a GK. GK is just this hard armored target that has hard hitting guns, decent secondaries. Schlieffen has torps, secondaries, and great main guns overall at mid-range, and this will be the tip of the spear push that ends up probably winning the game for your team. So you need to know patience, you need to understand why and when you are going to push in order to make the Schlieffen worth it. You're going to have those 20k games, but God, those 150k games with the Schlieffens are fun! So much fun. I cannot suggest it harder. It's just such a great line. And now for the challenging CV, which is a Hakuryu. This is an Alpha Strike monster at tier 10. It can delete a DD within moments of the game pretty much starting. It has a massive strike capability, but it takes a lot of skill to actually perform that. So at least when you die to one in a DD, you know that at least it took a little bit of challenge for them to do that. But at the same time, I've seen plenty of Hakuryu players screw that up. So you can get out of it occasionally, but yeah, no, the Hakuryu is an incredibly strong carrier for this game and an incredibly challenging one if you want to test yourself in World of Warships Blitz with carriers. Now for the island of Misfit Toys, we have the Admiral Nakimov. This ship, a lot of carrier mains just kind of had a, but why? It takes the level of effort of the Hakuryu, but gives you even more paper planes, and on top of it, really doesn't have the same results. So Admiral Nakimov, as much as it's a Kaga playstyle, it's more damage-focused playstyle. If you don't understand how to really use those fighters in order to bait AA or even know how to manage paper airplanes in there, it's just not worth it. Elbing, I love the ship. I do. It's just super niche in its own use. I can enjoy it, and I will definitely suggest it to a lot of people who are further along in their career of World of Warships Blitz. But the Elbing, it's an AP-focused light cruiser, basically light, heavy DD, if you want to say. That's got very slow torpedoes. You have to really want to play it. It is fun though. I will say that. Goliath, unfortunately, is in the island of Misfit Toys because at least now it's better. The grind though. The grind is absolutely horrible. And if you have Jellicoe, I'd say it's marginally worth it. It maybe puts it into intermediate, as you just need to know how to manage your fires and kind of basically be a half of a Holland type of idea, as you're just focusing more on fires rather than the fires and floods. But the Goliath overall, I just can't suggest it at the time just due to the grind alone, as that's pretty rough. The Conqueror basically, because of the St. Vincent, got pushed very, 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 very deep into Island Misfit Toys. I cannot suggest this grind. Even the best ship, the Monarch, just get the Hawk, and while you're grinding up for the St. Vincent, like, it's just right there. Why even worry about going for the Monarch when you just get the Hawk? And or go for the Duncan and the St. Vincent, which is way better for their tiers than the Lion and the Conqueror. Hopefully that will get buffed there. We have the Golden Liu, mostly in the Island Misfit Toys because it just needs something. It does. I know there's going to be people that have a love for it. I kind of like it myself. I'm doing pretty decent in it. But at the same time, I just can't suggest it to newer players or even intermediate players. It's one of those grinds you're going to do more at the end to kind of change it up. So, but hopefully it will get buffed and it will move into challenging someday because it is a rewarding playstyle, just not rewarding as much. Now, the Kremlin. Once again, another grind problem. The Sovietsky Soyuz makes you want to quit the grinding almost the moment you start touching it. The Vladivostok ain't that much better, but the Kremlin is actually kind of worth it. So if you want to kind of watch next week's video in order to see more information on what to skip for each one of these lines, yeah, the Kremlin could be worth it. And if it wasn't for such a bad grind, I think it would be an intermediate, as you just need to know about how to turn auto aim off, which I have a video on the channel for that as well. Next up, the Marseille. It's just one of those things, it needs something. It needs something. I can't suggest that the grind is just mediocre, and the Marseille itself, it's very, very niche. Borderline is the niche really needed, and on top of it, its niche also maybe requires to put it into a position where a DD can just come around the island, because it's an island hopper, and it can't really defend itself against that. So yeah, if you want to test yourself and go up the Marseille line, I'm actually enjoying it, but at the same time, do it later in your overall time frame on this game. Next up, we have the Udaloy grind. Grozovoy grind. Yeah, just skip the Grozovoy. It's just not as good. Just the tier 9 is just straight up better than the tier 10. The tier 10 needs a mobility buff at the very least, and maybe a few more things. So I just can't suggest the Grozovoy grind at this time when the Udaloy literally exists, which, hey, it's a short grind for you. And it's not a bad grind overall either, so I quite enjoy that. Zhao, the most powerful tier 10 cruiser in the game right now. It gets shut out so damn easily, especially now with the Louisiana out there. It just doesn't want to get spotted. It wants to choose whenever it's spotted. So it's probably going to die pretty early. Pretty much with the Zhao, you can look at your loading screen and know whether or not you're going to have a good game or bad game. And that's basically the beginning of the fun. So it's powerful, but hey, if you want something like it, Takau's not bad in that grind. Next up, Venezia. Unfortunately, because of the Colombo, because of the Regolo existing, Venezia really just isn't needed. It's just kind of sitting there. It just doesn't really do much. If you have a Luigi, I definitely would say it's borderline challenging, but at the same time, I don't know if I could suggest it either way on that. It's just, Luigi helps it, but it doesn't fix all the problems. I think Venezia needs those nerfs reverted, or at least some of them. And then finally, on the Pietro Pavlovsk, unfortunately, its grind is rough. It itself, bare minimum, bare everything, just regular equipment, regular commander. It's just okay, and for how much effort you have to put in, it sucks. But if you have the money and the time in order to get the Warbear camo, the Legendary mod, and Admiral Makarov, you have the 3 Infinity Stones in order to make the Pietro Pavlovsk work. So technically, it could go into intermediate at that point, but it just requires so much money when so many other ships don't require anything at all in order to work, and it could be completely free. So yeah, so Pietro Pavlovsk, I just can't suggest it to anyone unless you're later in your game or you're a whale and you end up having that stuff, which then you get a, I'd say, a competitive, overall competitive cruiser for that. But that is all. That is the 4th take after 3 hours of recording. Yeah. I unfortunately went on a very long tangent. If you want me to upload the longer version sometime as a podcast, let me know. I could do that as well. But yeah, this is the 4th take. So hopefully this works and everything. Hopefully y'all enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Hit that notification bell to see whenever a new video goes live. Don't forget to subscribe and follow on all the platforms that I stream on. It really does help out support the channel. And special shout out to the Patreon and YouTube members to help support this channel. If you want to join them, there's a join button down below, or the links are, of course, in the Linktree link in the description down below. Have a good day, everyone. Peace.
situation is under control.
Nice shot! Hit the enemy! Target hit! We hit the enemy! We're under attack!
The team is about to win.
We're hit!
Good job.